How you doing? How you doing? And how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Patty, and you might be asking yourself right now, so Patty, your child looks slightly more horrifying than usual. I don't have any children, not yet, and this is not an air. This is the Kite Class on the Taiwan server. It just released over there. And thankfully, when I thought it was coming out, when I thought I was originally playing on the CN servers and that it was about to come out, I did all of the prerequisite work and spent hours getting all that ready. So thankfully, once it came out on the Taiwan side, I literally just had to log in, do a couple of things, and then bam, I had it. So you have to be up to, I want to say, finish all of the 89 story quests. No, I've still got some 89 story quests. You have to be level 90, 100% sure. And then typically, like with the Reaper class or the Scythe class, you had to be level, I want to say 70 or 80 and done like either the level 69 or the 79 story quests and everything. So when that finally comes our way on the global, keep an eye out for that. Most everyone will already be at that except very, very brand new players. Especially because it is going to be months and months before we see this on global. So for those of you unfamiliar with the timeline of the game, it originally came out over a year ago, about a year and a month or two in China before it released everywhere else. Taiwan, it came out 2 or 3 months after the China launch. And then on global, we got the game back in what, February, March, somewhere around there. And we've had a slightly accelerated release schedule than everyone else has. But it's still not going to be that soon. So we've gotten things a little bit quicker than they were released on the CN side. But just for reference, this came out, basically around like the 1 year anniversary for CN. So the likelihood that we'll be seeing this anytime soon in global is pretty low. It's pretty low. If I had to hazard my best guess, between 3 and 4 months is how long we have to look before we can potentially get this. And even then, that would be set like, about 4 to 5 months sooner than it should have released if we were following the same release schedule as CN. So I just want to make sure that we have expectations set now and no one is under the impression that we're covering this because it's right around the corner for us. It's not. This is a look into the far, far away future. But the class is pretty fun, and I've enjoyed the little bit of testing I've been able to do with it. So you might be wondering what the weird, creepy little child is that's sitting on my arm right now. That's basically our puppet. If we, use an attack, they pop out into their full form, which is this little scary-looking boy here. Look at him. Look at him. He looks ready to defeat my enemies. And one thing to kind of note is that if you don't have any, essentially target, your guy will kind of pop back to you and just kind of punch right in front of you. So before we start looking at, really rough, crappy translations, I don't have any good translations of any of the skills, any of the talents, or any of the deep talents yet. I understand a few of them, and we'll kind of go through with the built-in translation that BlueStacks has. But if you've seen any of my other videos where we're covering the stuff from across the seas, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. It called the resources for Reaper snacks for whatever reason, but that's just what BlueStack was like. Oh yeah, you got to fill up your snacks, dog. Oh, okay. I got to get 100% of my snacks. That's we're going with that. Okay. So, there's going to be some translation issues. But before we do all that, let's not do that one. Let's go ahead and pop into training real quick so that I can show you guys just a little bit of what everything looks like. Because we did this originally with another video and kind of just showed little bits and pieces of what things looked like. Nope. Turn that auto combat off, baby. I want to control my skills. So we can see when it has a target, it stays pretty faithfully on that target with your attacks. If I were to, try and drop my target completely, which is a little difficult to do in here, my boy will be, right next to me. So this works a little bit kind of like Oh god, I should have looked up his name since we started talking about it. But the puppet guy from Naruto and everything. If you've played any of the fighting games that have that character, there's a really interesting kind of mechanic where you're keeping track of the puppet's movements and your own movements, and you're using a combination of the two to effectively combat your enemy. So it's super, super interesting, and mechanically just super, super fun in my opinion. So let's go ahead and start walking through some of the basic moves. So our very first one, and we'll get to whatever the translated names are here in a little bit, but it looks like a little spear down here with some stuff going on around it. This is essentially something that launches from you. You see that little spike that popped up and went through the targets? Pretty straightforward. A lot of these skills is something that happens to the puppet. So this is one of the only ones where your character is and where you're facing and basically wherever your target is, you want to make sure that you're trying to line up your target with as many other mobs as you can before using a skill like that so that you get the most use out of it and hit the most people. So, you know, and it's on a relatively short cooldown. We can see that it's on about, 5-6 seconds, somewhere around there. And this is not a crazily built character in any shape, way, or form. So that's the skills we've got so far. We've got the first little throwing, I guess, spear? We got a paper spear. We're hitting him with a paper spear. All right. Second skill has a chance to be able to trigger like a second part of the skill. So we'll see if that happens. Not this time. Not this time. So we'll... All right, now it should work. Nope, it lit up. It lit up and then it lied to us. So there's only about a 20% chance for, here we go. It basically just comes down as a giant fist and does some buku damage and a little bit of a stun effect. So that's pretty interesting, and there's certain talents and skills that you can get that make it a higher chance of this being able to proc the second skill. So it's basically just a double AoE hit. Second one basically being for free. Third skill is going to be this spinning, like, shuriken looking thing. We're just going to stay with the ninja references, I guess. And it starts from basically wherever your puppet is to whatever person you have targeted. So in a more controlled environment where things lived longer, you could, you know, pick an enemy that's on the outside of the loop, try and hit that skill, and it should go through all the enemies that it's standing next to and go over towards, you know, where your target is. So we'll see if we can trigger that. Ah, he moved closer to us before I wanted him to. We got too far away. But in theory, that's the way that skill works. It's really interesting, and I like going through the visual stuff first before we start getting into the translations, because I need to see something and play with it for it to really stick in my memory. I can't just read something and be like, oh, I completely understand this now. I definitely need it in my hands in front of me. So another skill that we've got is basically just a wave attack that shoots 3 waves of paper from in front of you, and it does have a, you know, knockdown stun effect to it. So that one, great for groups, can be good for PvP. It's pretty strong. Right here, this is essentially like a buff skill. We can see that I kind of just have paper flowing around me now. I don't have, you know, the super exact perfect details on what all the mechanics are to it, but we'll get into that a little bit when we're looking at the translations. All right, and you may have noticed this big old little red button right here. So this is essentially something that's only pops up once you've got enough energy for it. They don't really have a great tracker where you're keeping tabs on how much of this you've generated, like they do for Reaper class. But essentially, you can only use this once it's filled up to 100%. Once it's filled up to 100%, it's, again, basically just a buff mode where you're going to be doing, you know, a lot more damage. Oh, look at that. Just look at that. And yeah, it's... mechanically, a very, very, very fun class, and I don't think it's as irritating as Reaper has been for a lot of people, especially in like PvP with their mass ability to just keep teleporting and teleporting and teleporting. I think this is going to come in relatively balanced. It's probably going to be doing a little bit more damage than other classes, because that's typically what happens with new classes. They come out very strong, and then after they've been out for a couple of months, they get balanced a little bit more and brought in line. If you've seen any of my videos where we talk about essentially the class balance changes and everything that they've done on the CN side about 2 months ago, I want to say, maybe 3. You see the original 4 classes besides Blade Master getting their damage increased by about like 20 to 30% across the board pretty evenly. And I think that Blade Masters even get a little bit of damage love, but they've got so much CC capability that I don't think they get as much love. I don't think they lag behind as much as the original classes. So they did those balance changes and everything before this class released for them. So they kind of put everyone at an equal table and then dropped this class. So in terms of balance against other classes, I can't say 100% sure because obviously I don't, I don't speak Taiwanese and I don't play a whole lot on this server. This is basically me to just test stuff that we're getting in the future and get a look at a few things. And yeah, so I can't make any strong promises or assertions there because it would just me be talking out of my rear end. Just completely, I can't say for sure. Oh hey, look around the attack bar here. This is where they put the thing for us to build up to our 100%. I missed that completely until just now. Look at us learning stuff together. See, this is why I like doing these videos. Educational for everybody. But all right, so we've gotten a look at all the stuff. Let's go ahead and pop out of here and look at a few more things just about the class itself. That way we don't, get too oohed and odd looking at all of its pretty skills. So let's look at some of the other things. Please don't freeze and die on me. You can do it, buddy. There we go. All right, so real quick, let's take a look at some basic stuff. So what are we looking at in terms of what things are important for the class? So we've got magic attack being their most recommended at between physical attack and magic, and then we've got crit level being their next most important stat, according to the indications that the game gives us. So these little icons here just mean that these are the recommended or primary attributes for the class. A lot of times that's not enough information, so you want to click on the little exclamation point down here so that you can get a look at that stuff. And now your boy has to try real hard to make sure he does this quick enough that that doesn't go away when we try to do the translate commands. But was that quick enough? Does your boy got? I got it. All right, it takes some work. You'll see that, I'm sure, when we're looking at a few things on the talent side. So essentially what we've got here is that, Constitution is one of the things they recommend. But essentially intelligence and dexterity are your next recommended stats. So what does that mean for you in terms of prioritizing transferring stats over? It's been a little while. That's one of the things that those are the stats that you're more leaning towards. When you're doing your core, I actually redid this a little bit so that we could take a look at it. Since intelligence and dexterity is what we want the most of, I went 9 fire and then 5 green. And then we've got 2 water because a little bit of CDR isn't a bad thing. I would take a little bit of blue over Constitution, any day of the week. But that's me personally. I don't like to go for being really, really tanky. So there's not a lot of times you'll see yellow in your boy's core. Just so that you understand what my approach usually is. So let's go ahead and look at some of the skills and see what we've got here. So this is going to be the first one that we talked about, where it's, basically the paper spear. So see if we can get a rough translation. But Kite commanded the puppet, so this is a past tense move, awesome, to launch a heavy blow and throw a paper gun through tabbing the target, making up to 5 enemies around the target into magic damage. Hold on, let me move my camera so that you can see how ridiculous some of this is. Okay, that's fair. Let me also just real fast, just gonna do a little flip. Okay. Sorry, it's like OCD with me. I have to, when I look at my second screen, it look like I'm looking to the video that I'm making. It's just, I don't want to be over here in the corner staring off into nothing, Your boy's picky. So, ice spear. Played a frost mage for too long, guys. I'm sorry. So our paper spear, it basically just does a little bit of magic damage. Where you see it says restores 0.3% of metaplasia value. I think the term that gets used the most in the translations I'm seeing is like metamorphosis. Like that's the metamorphosis mode when you trigger it. So basically all of your skills kind of feed in and give a little bit of energy to that bar. And then there's also talents and stuff that make that bar fill up faster. So nothing crazy here that breaks the bank. Let's look at the second skill. And remember, this was the one that has a first part AoE and then a chance to trigger the second one. So Kite manipulates the puppet to transform into a spike to buy through its target. Up to 5 enemies can be hit. Damage, restore 1% metaplasia value or metamorphosis value. We're just going to go with that each time. And the skill has 20% chance to trigger the latter skill, Soul Relief. So Soul Relief is that second attack that we see where like a giant fist comes down and it just does some buku damage. So manipulates the puppet to transform into a beast palm. Okay, giant fist, beast palm. I like beast palm. Okay, that's a good translation. I like it. And hit the target, inflicting a lot of magical damage and cause a small area of rigidity for 1.2 seconds with fade effect on all hit targets. So I'm guessing what the translation is trying to say there with the small hit of rigidity is that it stuns on hit for a little bit or causes delay. That's usually how you see it described in on the global side. So nothing crazy. It does a decent amount of damage. If you compare it to the first skill where this is doing, 140k, this one's doing about 160k. So just a little bit of extra damage for your boy. Let's go ahead and take a look at our awesome little wind shuriken here. Kite manipulates the puppet to turn into a spinner, surround up to 5 enemies, continuously causing magic damage, and put the hitting target into laceration state for 5 seconds. Returns 1% metamorphosis value. Laceration will cause high damage based on the target's traveled distance. That's a really interesting effect. So it's essentially a bleed that does more damage the more you move around, because if you get cut in real life and then move with it a whole lot, the bleeding and everything will get worse. You see that it's kind of a hunting thing and everything. I'm not really a hunter, so I'm not going to pretend to talk like I know about that, but yeah. You can usually tell when things have gone worse for the animal when the blood trail starts getting bigger. That's because it's moving around more, tearing more stuff up, and doing further damage to itself. So that's an interesting debuff effect. I really like that, and I find that creative. There are a lot of things about this game where they do that, and I'm impressed. Just few things where Petty has some problems, but we're gonna just drive right on past that. So the Kite forward, release 3 paper waves, each up to 5 enemies in a straight line ahead, cause magic damage. I love the grammar here. Damage and knock the target up to 10 meters away. Recover 1.8 metamorphosis value. It's on a 30-second cooldown. So, and it says inflicted a total of 240,000 damage. So I'm assuming that across the 3 waves it's doing that much damage, not that each hit of that wave is doing that much damage. Otherwise, that would be really broken if you compared it to how it's scaling damage-wise against its other moves. So I also don't see anything super mentioned here. Oh no, it says knock the target up. Okay, yeah. So it does have a knock up effect and everything. So that's another, little stun essentially for what it's doing. So then here we've got our, essentially this was like the buff move that I mentioned. I want to say that this one just does like defensive stuff. Kite summons a puppet to turn into a paper shield to protect itself. At 20A, block effect will be added within seconds, and it will stand when controlled. Constantly release the control and enter the domineering state for 4 seconds. All right, that little mess of English, I think, means that it can pop you out of CC effects if you use this. not 100% confirmed on that, but I think that's what it's trying to allude to there. Attach a high block effect at the time for 4 seconds. Something effect can only be triggered once every 8 seconds. So essentially what it's doing here is just reducing all damage taken by 50%. Oh yeah, and it specifically at the bottom says this skill can be released when controlled. And that's cool. That's cool. I just want to scroll down and make sure there's not a whole bunch more. Though there's a little bit more information we're missing. Let's go ahead and see what all that says. Will release the control effect. Okay, so it does get you out of the CC. It's not just a defensive thing that you can pop and maybe take less damage while you're being CC'd, but it's you immediately start taking 50% less damage, and it gets you out of controlling effects. Nice. Nice. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Let's take a quick look at this. So this is a passive skill. This isn't something that you're actively using. This is something that's occurring with your attacks. So the passive skill, Fate Token, will reduce the target's physical and magical defenses. When the Soul Stab hits a target, mark target with Fate. Immediately reset the cooldown of Soul Thorn when it has Fate. Remember the target dies, gain Metamorphosis value. So essentially it's just defense breaking everything. And if you use, I want to say, which one was it? Soul Thorn. I feel like this should be Soul Thorn. Yeah, so when you use Soul Thorn on something that has Fate, it should reset this skill here. The first one of the 2 AoE hit combo. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like skills that tie in with each other. I just find it makes combat a lot more engaging and requires you to keep track of a couple of more things. And it just, you know, anything that deepens gameplay mechanically, big fan of. Big fan of. So let's actually take a look at what Metamorphosis does. So Metamorphosis values can be released and consumed when they reach full value. All Metamorphosis value increases your own magic attack for 15 seconds. Something and get music hit effect. Metamorphosis, the Thorn, will add a fateful effect to the target for 6 seconds. Metaplasia value. Metamorphosis value will automatically recover 0.3 per second. And this can be used when you are being controlled and it will pop you out of it. So both of their debuffs, or buffs, I'm sorry, will pop you out of being controlled, which is pretty cool. And then I just wanted to double check here at the bottom and make sure there wasn't anything else. Yeah, and then it just increases your magic attack. So breaks you out of CC, makes you do more damage, and adds additional fate attacks to one of your skills. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Oh god, we're over 20 minutes already. Alright, so we're probably going to do a separate video where we go in and look at all of the talents. One thing, as just kind of a preview to that video that I want to show real fast, is at one of the base levels, they have one of the most broken deep talents, period. So we can see this is 20%. 20% of what, Patty? Let's take a look. Oh, was I fast enough? I don't think I was fast enough. Yep. Okay. Okay. We got this. We got this. Bam! Did we get it? Did we get it? Yes. Critical damage increased by 20% when it's fully leveled up. It's 5% per talent that you put into it. And that is at the very beginning level of their skill tree. So that, I will say, is very, very busted. And you know what? Just as a little special treat, we're going to see if Petty's any luckier on this Taiwan side. Because I have 19 secret commands. Yeah. Yeah. And they've got a special event going on. So maybe we can get allied and get a little sneak peek at something that we ain't going to get for a while. And I kind of just want to see if I get lucky. Because I did this on my main account recently. Did 2 10 pulls. And your boy didn't feel the love. He felt like he made God angry. So let's see. Let's see what we get. How you doing? How you doing? Okay, we got a Sakura. And that definitely looks like some kind of wedding dress. Alright. Alright. We don't really have any 5 stars, so your boy's not mad at that. but just for fun, we didn't switch over. Yeah, okay. We'll go ahead and just spend a little bit of diamonds to get that one card. Just see if we get any 6 stars that'll make me jealous. Oh, Lord. It's okay. Woo! I was about to say, if it's eerie, your boy's just gonna break down on camera. I mean, Chisei's still good. I'm still, bruh, don't you do it. Don't you do it. Okay. Whew. 0, you're scaring a man. All right. That's not a bad pull. That's not a bad pull. I think that's the first 6-star on this account. Which is pretty pointless because, again, I just kind of log into here to test stuff out. Yeah. Our very first 6 pull. You can see we got College Chime Jen over here. I do love that man still. But yeah, I just thought that would be fun. When I logged in, I had like over 15 things in my mailbox. So we had enough gems and other stuff from events and things that they give out whenever they do updates and everything. Then we had a bunch of resources on this side. So yeah, just play with them a little bit. All right, guys, I appreciate your faces. I'll try to get another video out soon where we kind of go into the skills and talents. And then hopefully I can get some better translation soon. So that I can give you guys like a real for real kite guide. But for now, this is just a first look at the class. So thank you so much for checking your boy out. Definitely keep an eye out for the Genshin stuff. Genshin beta is ending this week, and your boy is absolutely crushed about it. And what sucks even worse is I got hurt my back at work last week. So I haven't been doing all the other stuff on the other house for my family that I have been. And you would think like, oh, okay, well, at least you have more downtime. You've been able to enjoy the beta. No, sitting in a chair sucks. Like after I finish recording this, I'm gonna go lay down for a little bit, and then get up in a little bit and do all the stuff so that we can get it uploaded, like make the thumbnail and everything. So your boy's not even really able to spend time on his computer like you would think. So yeah, if anyone has a bus, let me know. I'll give you some directions, and let me know when you're close, and I'll just come lay down in the street so you can run me over. All right, I appreciate that. All right, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming by today, and you're going to have to catch your boy in the next one because we out of here. Deuces.